Brave New World.
Hey, guys.
Yeehaw.
What's
All
up,
right.
everybody?
Well, we're live. All right. Episode number 13.
Lucky number 13.
Number 13 on the
There you
Buildology podcast here.
That's it.
So we were just talking about starter homes in Austin, and I think they're the new starter home is under the freeway.
Exactly, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's under $200,000.
It is under $200,000,
It's
right?
the only thing under
Sign me
$200,000.
up.
These are all the people that sold their previous tents for a heck of a lot more than they paid for.
Upgrading tents here. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
If you're out there in the investment world that in real estate, then, you probably know what we're talking about. So.
Yes,
100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow, guys, we're going to go live with our Duck Method real estate. It's going to be our first live Bring It to the World event into the Duck Method Facebook group. So it's going to be pretty exciting to try this and go live and educate some people on our Duck Method.
There you go.
If somebody's not familiar with that, how do they find it? How do they find you tomorrow?
So if they've found the Facebook group, chances are they're already in it. But just looking up the Buildologist will get them either in Facebook or YouTube to it. And it'll get them to the channel. And then from the channel, there's a link there to get into it.
Let's look for that big duck silhouette in the sky.
Okay.
He's kind of a tough duck.
He's
so,
a tough duck.
He's
Yeah,
a tough duck.
and he's got his little hand out there. He's mad. And tomorrow we'll tell you why he's mad.
That's right.
Angry, angry duck. There's nothing worse
In
than
private.
an angry duck either.
Angry duck. Yeah.
Angry duck.
And if you look at him in the picture, you can kind of see he's got his little fist out. He's really angry.
That's right.
He's
tomorrow-
aggressive. He's very
very
aggressive.
aggressive. He's
Okay.
different than the cat. The cat back here is
Yeah.
Stoic.
laid back stoic, right?
He is. But you can tell by the glasses.
Yeah, the duck is.
Glasses are a big
he's
giveaway.
The
pretty
duck's a
pissed.
take charge kind of duck. So
Yeah,
rules
exactly.
the pond.
I think our cat had some feathers sticking out of his mouth the other day.
yeah.
Probably from the duck's fist. You know?
Duck.
Not a good sign.
Probably so. So, I guess let's get started this week. Last week we kind of talked about cost, and this week we kind of wanted to talk about the investment side and maybe some opportunities in the country. And Perry, you had a kind of a good idea. We happen to be in Texas, so we have always seen an influx of people moving to Texas, but never like this. And the climate in the United States, I think, is really the thing that is sending more and more people, besides Elon and every movie star moving out of California, advertising that they're moving to Texas. I think there's a lot of reasons to move to Texas, and friendly business climate is one of them.
It's pretty amazing because I'm getting calls from all around the country and all around South America also stating that they want to bring money to Texas.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's a good place to be. It's a good investment. It's a solid investment. And they're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. And these aren't people that just coming looking to buy a house. These are large industrial size investors that want to come to Texas.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what are the reasons behind someone would want to come and invest their money in Texas?
But it's entry. I think more than anything, it's entry into the market. I think Mac and I were talking about earlier that it's easy to do business in Texas. It's a very business-friendly climate.
Yeah.
Especially when you come from the East Coast or West Coast.
Yeah. East Coast, West Coast, it's just if you're local here, a lot of people call this third coast. So
Yeah,
True.
it's the third coast,
It's the redneck Riviera.
Yeah, redneck Riviera. When people, if you're outside of Texas and someone says friendly business climate, so that's kind of maybe lay down a couple of those things. So we don't have a state income tax would
True. That's true.
be one of them.
There is a state property tax, which
Right.
people say, but that makes my monthly payment higher, but you're going to pay it one way or the other.
Right.
There's no way around it.
Right.
But more than anything, it involves permitting, entitlements, things of that nature. I've heard people take 2 to 3 years before they can ever break ground on a house.
Yeah.
Whereas here, depending upon the municipality, it is tougher when you're in the larger cities like Houston and Dallas.
Yeah.
But you get in the suburbs, it can be a matter of weeks.
Right.
And even in the larger cities, it's only a few months.
Right.
Nothing
And you've
that's
got
years.
very, very low, very light regulation relative to the rest of the United States.
We don't do any studies on moving armadillos off of an acre of land.
No, not at all.
Usually you scoot them along.
Yeah.
And just move on. to
Or
the
you
next
see them on the
group.
side of the road upside down with a beer can on them.
Yeah,
So
That's
right.
true. Yeah.
That's it.
You
yeah.
do have the occasional cave bug from time to time, but that's only one very specific place in the state.
Yeah. I had a challenge with a yellow cheek warbler once in that same location.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yeah,
Yes.
and it delayed things for quite some time. People showed up in suits,
Really?
in bird suits. Yeah,
Oh,
that was
okay.
entertaining. That was
Yeah.
just a few years back.
I know we have a timber rattler that you can't kill, and the reason I know you can't kill it is because someone that I know tried to kill it and posted it on Facebook, and someone told him you can't kill those. He said, but he's trying to kill me. Is that equal?
Self-defense.
Is that self-defense on a timber rattler that's 6-7 feet long?
He should be.
That's even fight, I think.
That kid should probably be up for parole in about 5 years. I think.
That's what they call it. Well, the rattler started it. So sorry.
Rattler started right. His fangs in me started this.
And I think the biggest thing that we see from a city perspective and a county, wherever it might be, is when you go into City Hall and you tell them what you want to accomplish, most of the time they welcome you.
Yeah.
And they say, okay,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
a great
tax
point.
dollars
Good
coming
point.
into the community.
Right.
They don't look at you.
They're looking how to make this a reality, not stand in the way of the project.
They want to achieve a goal.
Right.
And you achieving that goal with them as part of the team to work together. You don't see that in other places.
Yeah, I think they welcome the tax base, that they see what the improvements, that they recognize, hey, this project come here means tax dollars. It means that we're going to improve this school. We're going to, God, we got a lot of roads here in Texas to maintain. So, you got to keep up all that stuff, and, they're constantly working on everything. So, it's just a really, really friendly business environment, starting a business. If you're a small company and you want to get employees, we have a large population, right? I mean,
It's getting bigger every
it's
day.
getting big, but your selection, it's kind of like when you went to school, right? If you were in a small school, you didn't play the 6A school, right? If you did, you got whooped because there was just a bigger talent pool.
That's right. A
So
deeper talent pool.
A deeper
Yeah.
talent pool. So there's a deep talent pool here.
Right.
And I think that's why you see, companies that do come from California, they land in Austin first because it's the most California-esque place in Texas. But there's, you got University of Texas up there. You got a lot of tech companies, you got a lot of hardware companies. So the climate's the same. But even in Houston and Dallas and San Antonio, I mean, you look at the manufacturing, and Houston used to be known as an energy city, but man, it's diverse now. There's
Absolutely.
everything.
Medical probably has become the biggest place. I mean, I know of people from outside the country that come in just for the medical facilities.
It's top of the world, basically.
Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like super lucky. If you had anything wrong with you, I mean, 45 minutes down the road is like the best place
The best in the world.
In the
in the
world.
world.
Yeah.
In the world, right?
Yeah.
And to have that in your back pocket, like, man, that's kind of like that little thing in the back of your head, like, it's 45 minutes down the road.
And I tell you, from an investor's perspective, having that available to you is tremendous, because look at the number of homes being built close to those medical facilities that are high rise. I call them high rise, 3 and 4 story, because of the smaller pad that it takes.
Yeah.
And those are good investments for people that are wanting to lease them out to the residents, to the nurses, to the lab techs, or oftentimes what I saw is that someone will buy one and then it's 3 or 4 bedroom and lease out the other bedrooms to the people that work with them.
Yeah.
And then another thing too that we talked about earlier before the podcast began is the
Be
fact
careful
that,
on which item we were talking about.
That's
before
true.
the
I got to talk about
podcast.
that. But anyway, no, we've got the sheer amount of raw land in the last 18 months. One thing we've all learned is that everybody can work from home now.
Yeah.
So now there are people that, and again, we've got so much raw land all around the city.
Yeah.
It's a land rush going on.
And we don't
out there
really
right
have,
now.
like other cities tend to have big barriers, right? Like mountain ranges and stuff like that.
yeah.
You know, we have mountains in Austin, but you can build all over them. You know, they're not stopping you from
figure it
building,
out.
right? Yeah. And as far as big rivers, we don't have the Mississippi River that you're right up against, or something. You know, we do have the Gulf of Mexico that stops us, but us being in Houston, we got the rest of Texas to build into. And one day, I think our goal is we're trying to connect Houston to Dallas. I don't know. I think that's on someone's business plan.
It'll happen probably in our lifetime. It'll probably happen.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I know you can drive from Galveston, and by the time
Seems like it doesn't ever stop.
It seems like it doesn't stop, right? It's several hours. If you went from Galveston and got to the point where you went, wow, I think I'm out of it now. That's a several hour drive.
I mean, the state's also is very expansion friendly, and that's a case in point. Is that it's business friendly, expansion friendly. So when growth is needed, the regulations and the entities there that promote that make the rules need to follow, but they're easy rules to follow. And they're also very pro-growth, so they'll make it to where the advancement happens in the way it's supposed to, and not a lot of restrictions to it, not a lot of hurdles to clear.
And speaking of California, it's not uncommon to, when you come up with a project, to have it 10, 15 years from raw land to finished lots.
Yeah, it was
Here you're looking at 10 to 15 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about back even to the days of Conroe and Montgomery, not far from us. Yeah. They used to be separate cities. Now,
separate. Yeah.
When you leave Conroe, you drive 2 seconds, and and then there's the city limit sign for Montgomery City.
Yeah.
City of Montgomery.
Yeah.
So now they're almost touching each other.
Yeah. And like I say, I think, I just got back from Austin. Heck, it was probably a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. Went to the race up there. But that drive from North Houston here to Austin, right there, the amount of developments and things that you see, like every city is growing closer to each other. And if you kind of look at one of the reasons, like the port of Houston, right, you're bringing goods in, and the ability to get them to the major cities in Texas from that port, we got a really good freeway system right up to Dallas, right into San Antonio. Right. Like we can distribute from that port very easily.
Yep.
And so that makes, and you look at that distance, if you were on the East Coast, you would have traveled several states.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. You would have went through,
I did some consulting for a builder out of Florida, and we were talking about distances to drive.
Yeah.
To go visit my son who just finished up in medical school in West Texas. It was 9 hours one way.
Right.
And they were discussing how many states would you cross in 9 hours,
9 hours
from Florida to get to Texas.
Or how many countries in Europe.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Randy
we don't
and
even
I talked about that last week, like to go down and we're talking about going down and checking on like Boca Chica down there, right? That's like a 9.5 hour drive from Houston. You're still in Texas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
but
right.
if you go east, you're in Florida.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Right? You go to
4 or 5
Louisiana,
states later.
Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, right the other way. It's hard to fathom. Like, I don't know if you've ever like driven from here and went to like El Paso. At some point, you're like, Jesus, this state
Well,
is
that's what I'm
so
saying. I went-
halfway
I
to
went-
California.
It's
by the
halfway
time you
to
get out of,
Cal- right.
out
Yeah,
of
it is because
Texas.
Lubbock was 9 hours,
Right.
and that's still another 3 or 4 hours from there to El Paso.
Right.
Right.
And just the amount of, I don't know, the diversity in Texas, like it's all Texas, but man, it all has its own flavor and thing
Well, that's what they say.
going on,
El
right?
Paso is closer to Los Angeles than it is Houston,
Wow.
or at least like Shreveport, on the
Yeah.
other side
Makes
of
sense.
the state.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. But then put it in perspective from here to Dallas.
Yeah.
3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Not that
Yeah,
far.
not that far.
So it's
Yeah.
easy to get around
It's
to the
easy to
big
get-
cities. Yeah.
Good road system, good road systems with not heavy traffic that you can get there quickly, right? So you can distribute products. If you have a business in Dallas, you can do business with Houston, right? If
And in
you're
reality, you
Dallas,
think
can
about
do
it.
business with San Antonio because we're connected. So
Just as you said earlier, Mac, talking about people working from home, you can now support a business in Houston from Waco or from Huntsville,
Yeah.
or from some location that you wouldn't want to drive,
right.
but you don't have to.
As long as you have an internet signal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're just,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I negotiated a deal yesterday in Dallas, and I was on the call for a couple of hours, and we got it done.
It's all changed. It's
Yeah.
a lot of opportunity out there.
Lot of opportunity out there.
And also too the fact that we're geographically located in the central
Right.
part of the United
That's why
States.
Tesla's coming here. They want to. It wasn't, purely Texas is like strategizing on a military map, right? You poke a dot in the middle. It's halfway between everything, right? Instead of being all the way on one coast. So a lot of companies see that middle ground as, okay, if I was a manufacturer here, it'd cut my cost to distribute to the country, right?
Well, I can tell you this too. In Dallas, where I was last week, there was I-20 and I-45. If you've never exited at that intersection, just take 5 seconds and drive off the road. Every single distributor you can think of in the world has a huge shell there, a distribution center. Hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the number of trucks at that intersection, because from I-20 goes from the East Coast to the West Coast, and I-45 goes north to south.
Right.
Yeah.
And right there in the middle of Dallas.
And you look at, one of the factors that go into housing, that we have an inexpensive labor rate, but a lot of other states share the same inexpensive labor rate. But our houses are still, even though they're going up for us, they're expensive for us, they're so much cheaper than the rest of the United States. And if you look at Houston in general, right, and you go down there as far as manufacturers that manufacture a product for home building here that gets shipped somewhere else, look at window manufacturing. I mean, you can go down to the west side of Houston on the Beltway there and just drive around and go, well, okay, there's this manufacturer, and it's right here. So we don't have that cost to get it across the country. We have the port. You're trying to get granite or tile or anything, from anywhere else. It's coming in here.
Have you seen the latest? The economic statistics that are done used to show that the Port of Houston was the #1 employer in the city of Houston.
Wow.
I don't know if that's still the case. It was always #1 and #2 were the port and the medical center. We're always competing with one another.
Surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the amount of business that it does.
Yeah, if you go down there on any given day and count the number of boats that are just sitting there waiting for dockage, it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing that has been missing lately, you brought this up earlier. The
cars.
Yeah,
the cars.
You come over the Ship Channel Bridge,
and you used to see all the
cars,
sea of cars, right?
None.
There's
You
no
don't see cars right
F-250s there.
now.
You don't see
What's
them.
that?
There's no cars available right now. Almost.
There's a beat up Volkswagen bus down there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you said earlier your used car.
There's a chip shortage.
There's a chip shortage, and I was trying to do some research on that, see if it affected us at all, right? Because an appliance has a chip in it. There's a lot of stuff that we have that you don't think about it, has a chip in it. A lot of people don't know this, but your circuit breakers have little chips in them now. It's not just a mechanical brake anymore. There's a little chip in there that detects that voltage irregularity. So
even all our pets have chips in it.
Yeah, our pets have chips in it.
Yeah.
I think mine works without the chip. Right. But I was just researching.
My pets have chips on their shoulders.
Chips on their shoulders.
Our cat.
Especially the cat.
When
I
he
think
comes
Einstein's
in.
got a chip on his
He's
shoulder
got a
right
chip
now.
on his shoulder.
Time to do what the duck does.
Right. But yeah, it's just kind of, could I foresee that chip shortage affecting us getting a supply or anything like that? And then when I was looking into it, I kind of found like, well, wait a minute, there's a chip shortage in vehicles. And I drove by the local Ford dealership, and there was no trucks out there at all, like zero F-250s, right? In the state of Texas, if you're not in the state of Texas, I think it's truck, car, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's definitely truck, car, like duck, goose. It's truck, car, and every other place in the country is car, truck. And to not have anything available to the market is kind of a weird thing, right? It's not just houses, it's in vehicles and stuff. So that's the #1 and #2 purchase in the United States for someone. And it's definitely in a weird state right now.
But the ripple effect has gone all the way down to appliances.
Yeah.
Because the high-end appliances, they are chip driven also.
Right.
And they're months and months in back order.
Well, even in construction, I'm personally waiting on blower units for air conditioners because they can't get them because there's a chip shortage.
Yeah.
It's affecting a lot of things. Now.
So I researched like when they are expecting the chip shortage is supposed to catch back up, and what happened is when the disease that's to be unnamed because of YouTube reasons that we can't say the name, but everyone knows what we're talking about, right? So the chip manufacturer, not the chimp manufacturer, the chip manufacturer. That's a whole different.
That's
business.
another problem.
That's a different
whole
business,
new set of
right?
jokes.
That's
right
a whole new set of jokes on that one, right? So the chip supply problem is when that hit, they kind of shut down, right? And surprisingly, automotive bounced back really, really quickly. And no one thought automotive sales would bounce back as quickly as it did. And so like Toyota and a lot of big companies placed really large orders. And I didn't know this. It takes 6 months to make a chip. That's crazy.
Wow.
Can you imagine? When they crank cars out, they come out like at every 11 minutes or something, right? So the process to make a chip, when they stopped it and they pulled the plug, to start that back up takes 6 months.
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy.
That's nuts. And they showed these clean rooms.
So how many thousands of chips are normally made during that 6 month period?
And that's
the backlog.
That's the backlog. Well, on top of that, you had people not working for a long time and wanting to buy a computer or do other things, right? So it never really took the load off the chip.
So the inventory was grabbed quickly.
Really, really just burned through it. And then the other weird thing, so the economy's doing really good. And you've probably heard, if you're an investor out there, you understand like crypto's been going crazy, right? So everyone in the world is investing in crypto.
Until Elon Musk was on Saturday Night Live. Then
it tanked. Yeah. They call him the Doge father. So he's kind of in control of crypto for some reason. But so anyways,
blows my mind.
So anyways, you got a lot of people staying at home, right? So a lot of people went to go build mining computers. And mining computers take like 12 to 24 graphics cards in them, right? So you can't buy a graphics card to save your life right now because all these people are out there trying to build mining machines. So if you're a chip manufacturer, you're trying, what sector do you supply? Do you supply GE with a chip to build a refrigerator?
Yes.
Right? The answer to that is yes. Do refrigerators first.
All
please.
the above.
All
Please do.
Air conditioners,
Refrigerators.
refrigerators, garage door openers.
We're okay on the trucks right now.
We're okay on the
because
trucks. Yeah.
You got to use truck. It kind of benefits you, but
Yeah.
the other stuff, please.
I mean,
build it.
really,
Yeah.
who could have predicted all this? I mean,
Right.
did anyone see any of this coming? Absolutely.
You know,
not.
like every time there's like some big thing, there's always that guy that comes out and the news finds them. And we're like, that guy's the one that predicted it. I don't think there's going to be that guy this
No,
time.
no,
There's not that guy.
And we'll
this
be talking about it for years.
Right.
Because it's going to take literally years to catch up.
Yeah.
And then once we catch up, we'll be behind again.
Because I was thinking, let's say it took you 6 months to put a chip on the market, right? In that 6 months, how much more demand did you got 6 months just to supply the ones that they needed last year?
Well, see, this ties
Those were last year's chips.
Those are
Those are
last
so
year's chips.
I
outdated.
say there needs to be.
They're
some,
outmoded.
There's got to be some really smart people out there listening right now that could come up with
Yeah.
to cut that time down to,
Yeah, there could
5.5 months.
And Randy's idea earlier is won't work with going to the grocery store and Lay's chips.
No, there was Sun chips.
Those are Sun chips. Sun chips do not solve the problem. So if
They're only
anyone comes out-
manufactured when the sun is up.
Yeah,
so.
so if anyone comes up with the idea of Sun chips, that does not solve the problem. Although there's a
hey,
lot
listen,
in the bag,
I never would in my mind pictured that we have chip shortage,
right?
but it kind of makes sense now because just today, we're just thinking about this. It officially cost me less to fill up my truck of gas than it does to buy one sheet of plywood to put in the bed of my truck. So nothing
gasoline-
surprises me.
Yeah,
gasoline
nothing
is
surprises.
cheaper
Yeah.
than wood.
Plywood.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
At least a full
Yeah.
tank of gas is cheaper than
That's
one sheet
amazing.
of plywood.
Takes a minute to process that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just hold it for a minute because
We'll
it
build
won't be
a
long until someone's
plywood
going to hear that
machine.
and raise the price of gasoline.
Yeah,
They'll
exactly.
fix that problem.
They'll fix that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
fix it, but not the way you want to fix
No.
it, right?
No. But think about it for a minute because we talked early on in the podcast about 2008. In 2008, they shut the faucet off
Yeah.
for financing for lots.
Right.
We are experiencing the result of that today.
Today.
So
Right.
here it is.
Yeah.
How many years has it been?
Ooh,
13
you're the man.
years?
13 years.
13
Look at
years.
that. I
A
had
lot.
to think.
I was a
13
young
years.
child.
years.
So,
Yeah.
so put it in perspective. Now they turned off the faucet to chips.
Yes.
It could be a 13-year
Recoup.
Recoup, yeah, it could be.
When we look at, real estate and you shut that supply off and the ramification, like we're still, like you say, we're still dealing with that today. Before all this happened, we knew we were dealing with it, but you could kind of stay on top of it. You were having, that's why all those infill things we're buying and selling, but those don't exist anymore.
It kind of
right?
cleaned up all
Cleaned
the
it
level
up.
B and C.
Right. Yeah.
But
got
now
rid
they're
of-
gone.
Now they're gone. Right. So you come into the chip situation. I guess companies will have to get resourceful. I've seen manufacturers trying to go out there and get old chips and put them into cars and try to get. I saw a dealership trying to take old cars, get the chips out of them, and sell you a car and say, hey, it's like a warranty claim. Bring it back in 2 years or whatever, and we'll replace that part.
When we have chips again.
When we have chips, and then there's cars going back to like analog, speedometers and stuff. Just it's kind of crazy,
It's a retro thing.
It's a retro thing,
Yeah.
I was trying. What would we retro in a house? Like, you don't get a dishwasher, you just do it by hand.
There's be some.
No, it's just a dialed
you get
dishwasher.
you get
Have
an
you- have
attic
you
fan.
tried to-
One
have-
of those boards.
Have you ordered a
machine.
dishwasher lately? My
Hand
nephew
crank
waited
ice
3 or 4
machines,
months
ice
for a
cream
dishwasher.
machines.
Oh yeah, no,
So,
they told us order like before our physical start to place the order for 4 months out. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and that got accentuated by that Suez Canal. Like, don't ever run a ship aground in that thing. Like
Apparently
that.
not, because the world stops spinning when that happens.
Yeah, don't like. Who knew one little canal? You stick one ship and backs everything up. I think we need to widen this
I
thing.
think it's bad planning right there.
But
Yeah.
even after all of that, chip shortages and used trucks that you can pay, return in for more money and everything else we talked about, we're still making deals on dirt.
Yeah.
We're still moving
Yeah.
forward with business.
Yeah.
You have to be in business to do business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yes, you can sit here and complain in the background about all your new costs of whatever that you're getting.
Yeah.
but it's not stopping anything.
No,
You know,
it's
we're gonna
moving.
continue
It's just
forward.
this state
I
is.
think Max said earlier that it's opened up new doors because now
doors,
investors that used to thrive. I had a gentleman from China last week tell me, he said, I used to look for only depressed properties that I could buy and rehab and then lease them out.
Right.
They don't exist anymore.
They don't
Right.
exist.
They
Now he's
don't.
buying new homes. Everything
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier, you're building homes just for lease.
Yeah.
1,500 square foot homes that lease for $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's a good investment opportunity because interest rates are low. So that $1,500 house, the monthly payment, I don't know what they sell for, $250,000, $300,000.
They're duplexes.
There's
Duplexes.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
250, 225.
They're about
so your
950. No, just kidding.
so your monthly payment, don't we wish? That was back in the 90s.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah. But my point is that the monthly
Quite a bit more
payment,
expensive today.
Yeah.
the monthly payment is going to be $1,200,
Yeah.
$1,300, and you can lease it for $2,000. So
Right.
from an investor's perspective, it's a good time to do business.
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
always, yes.
Anytime you've got volatility in the market, there's going to be a certain segment of the population that is going to prefer to rent rather than
Right.
buy. And I've never, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a time that's more ripe
Yeah.
for building investment.
We have a
properties right
demographic
now.
change happening too, in the United States.
Strong one, a big one. Yeah.
Big, and that contributes to it too. So you have pricing that contributes to it, demographics that contribute to it.
Yep.
On both ends, right? So older generation handing wealth down to a younger generation that isn't going to buy at the same capacity that historic generations have. They're going to rent, and they're going to rent longer, right? So there's a lot of investment opportunity when it comes to new construction, because if you're looking at fixing up an old house with all the problems with it versus a new construction, everything's under warranty, and you're talking 30
Kind of
years
a
later,
no-brainer.
It's like a no-brainer,
Yeah.
right?
Because
Plus
that old house is going to cost as much
Right.
to fix it up.
Exactly.
true.
Well,
I
and then
mean-
you've got the energy efficiency side of
Yeah.
it.
But and they're always in the new location. It's new. Everything's new around it.
Right.
Right.
Class A areas, right?
Typically, new schools are close to them. And,
Right.
because if you choose where to build correctly, all of that's going to be within usable distance for tenants
Right.
and clients and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's people lining up to buy these, investors to buy them. So, yeah, it's all weird and crazy out there.
great
But
opportunity,
business
though.
is still going
Yeah.
forward,
Yes.
and we are still running out of inventory to sell.
Yeah.
And we're in
exactly.
Texas.
Yeah.
We
In
or
Texas.
everybody wants to come
Yeah.
rather than
Hence,
leave.
it comes back
Right.
full
It
circle
does.
because great place to do business because so many people are moving here
Yeah.
to do business
The other-
with.
That's right.
The other kind of elephant in the room reason is we're not North Dakota. Like, even though we got some snow this year, and it was what do we call it, the snowpocalypse?
The snowpocalypse.
The snowpocalypse, and it shut our whole state down for a couple of weeks, right?
What
That
did
was
it
a
ever?
fluke,
Yeah, it
right?
was
That
very
was,
much.
that was a fluke, right? This isn't North Dakota where that happens every year, and people don't usually own parkas and
Generator
snowshoes
sales through the
and so-
roof.
yeah. So we talked about that. God, that was like the first, or I don't know. That was like the probably third or fourth podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
when
in
snow
March,
popped.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
March or something when that
Yeah,
happened?
late
Yeah.
February,
We all
March.
learned.
Snow.
No, I'm not even going to say it.
Oh, we got a text message here going in. We're getting people.
I forgot to turn the music off too, but
Oh yeah.
that's okay. It's
Yeah.
good background.
That's good background. I don't think it picks up in the microphone. So if you're out there listening, there is music going on, but I don't think it picks up in the
Yeah.
It's
microphone.
not subliminal.
No. Right. They're like, I just need to download that song.
Yeah.
It's the only way you can hear
You can only
that.
guess what we're listening to.
Yeah, that's right. So, but not having to deal with snow at the, Dallas does, San Antonio does, but it's not like, the East Coast where you get 13 inches and then next week you get 10 inches. And
Yeah.
It is
6
entertaining
inches.
though. When it does snow here, like once
Yeah.
every 10 years,
Yeah.
just sit back on the side of the road,
Oh, yeah.
and just watch
It's
everybody
kind of like
drive
a
around.
couple days off and everyone gets to chill out and go, huh.
They get to run around.
They get to run around.
Slide into people.
Yeah,
It's really,
exactly.
Really kind of
Insurance agents probably hate it. But
entertaining. Yeah.
But the weather, a lot of people are leaving the weather. So a good business climate, and they're getting rid of, everyone complains about Texas heat. It's the same thing. If you look at the amount of time that the heat over the summer, right? I mean, it's June, and this morning, I went out this morning, and it was beautiful out. I mean, it was like 72 degrees and
It has
no
been
humidity, right?
unusually cooler.
Yeah,
this year,
right?
And
So it's
odd.
deep
Yeah.
into the year. So we're going to have 3 months of really, really, really hot weather,
Yeah.
right?
So go indoors.
Well, that's
you go
okay.
AC and
Go
you get there,
turn on the
right?
AC.
You don't have to wipe humidity off your windshield.
Did I
Right?
mention
I
the
mean,
fact
you
that swimming
don't-
pool sales are through the roof right now too?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's through the roof? What was it?
Swimming pool
Oh,
sales.
They don't have
It's almost like
they
you
don't have
name it, the
microchips in
sales
it.
are through the roof.
right.
You can always sit around, float around in your pool.
Chicken wings. Sales are through the roof because there is
right.
none.
There's no chicken. And I'm like, there's no chicken.
No, it's steaks. Try to
Steaks?
get a steak.
Oh, really?
Try to get a prime rib.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
I've got an
Because-
inside
And,
track.
the,
It's okay.
and the other reason why all these people are flocking to Texas, barbecue. We forgot
Yeah.
to talk about
Oh,
barbecue.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best
Yeah, you'll
barbecue.
get
Worth-
into
that's
you'll
what-
get into a whole argument of
wait,
whose
wait.
barbecue is better.
Tex-Mex and barbecue, two solid reasons on
100%.
100%, right?
Yes.
Tex-Mex and barbecue.
Yep.
Taco Tuesday.
I'd leave
That's it.
49 other states for those, those reasons alone.
People are going to be running to the restaurants after they listen to this podcast.
That's right.
Exactly, right.
Today is Thursday. It's almost the
right.
weekend.
Yeah. So I have family in the East Coast, right? And they came down. I can remember, 20-something, maybe heck, it was probably 30-something years ago, coming down and, how do you say Fiji ta? I'm like, no, it's not a Fiji ta. It's a fajita.
Oh, fajita.
Fajita.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is a Fiji ta? I'm like, it's not a Fiji ta.
There is, I mean, just while we're taking crazy, there was a kid in college when we sat down when I was a freshman. He was from somewhere up north. He did ask what a tortilla was.
A tortilla. Right.
Yeah.
We went to a Tex-Mex restaurant in Nacogdoches. What's a tortilla?
So, there's plenty of reasons to leave 49 other states and come here. Investment is in Texas. It'd be hard to screw up in Texas, right? And for the amount of years that you could go back and say that is really, really long, right? I mean, it'd be back into the 80s, right?
And that's why these investors are coming.
Yeah.
That's why they're calling us. That's
Yeah.
why they're saying $500
it's not a
million
bubble when it's 40 years.
was the challenge.
And even though I'm a bit biased, we're all a bit biased because
Sure.
we've
Yeah.
lived here for a long time. But really, it's hard to find a friendlier bunch of people than
Yeah.
here in Texas.
That is true.
Well, everybody waves at you when you drive by. I mean,
At
that's
least one
common sense.
finger, right? I mean,
Some days you take what you get.
That's right. That's right.
There's
exactly.
different ways of showing affection.
Right. I've had a lot of people tell me I'm number one last week.
Because of that truck you're driving.
Right,
That's why.
exactly. Big red beast.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Right,
yeah.
so, all right, guys. Well, I hate to end on a up note there, but we've got a
End
lot
on
of
a
stuff to
positive
cover
note.
next week. So hopefully we get a lot of people tuning in tomorrow in the live duck method kind of unveiling there. So
3 o'clock.
3
correct?
o'clock.
3 o'clock.
3
Central
o'clock,
Standard
yeah.
Time.
Central Standard Time. So it's
Be
going to be
there or
exciting.
be
We're
somewhere else.
excited.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting. So can't wait to share the information with everyone. And
So next week you'll give us some feedback on that, some follow-up.
Yeah,
Good.
and I think next week, the people that do show up tomorrow, if we can maybe even answer some questions next week in the show, because I'm sure there'll be some follow-up and things that people want to get answers to that'll kind of get everyone thinking. So
Great.
that might be a good leadway into next week's show.
Okay.
So cool. Very
Good deal.
good, guys.
Okay.
Show number 13
In the books.
In the books.
In the can, in the
Magic number
can.
13 there. So we got through it.
No bad luck with this one, guys.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
not at all.
Nope.
All right.
Okay.
Stay safe.
Very good.
Have a good one. Thank you.
See you.